Good morning, welcome to Curiosity Forge. I am the curiosity in the forge, so it has been decided. And I thought I would kind of clear things up with the delay on the live stream. Thursday, I went to the pain management clinic and they did a procedure where they injected a numbing agent into a whole bunch of the really messed up spots in my back. And they gave me a medication beforehand to take to keep me all relaxed and mellow about it because I wasn't in love with the idea of that process. And those things had me feeling incredibly nasty after I got out of there. You know, my back felt great for the first hour or two because it was supposed to wear off fast. And, you know, what they're doing is they're doing that a few times to test and see whether or not frying some nerve endings out will help shut down a lot of back pain. And if I could just keep feeling like I did right after those shots, my quality of life will greatly improve. But there were also some things I wanted to touch on. And, you know, one of those is the stuff that I brought back with me from Quad State, because I didn't really get to do a full in-depth on it. And there are a couple things that are worth mentioning. Now, one of those is I traded yams of Island Metal Forge fame for 3 Moabos. Now, what these are mother of all bottle openers. These really cool skulls. And I happen to like the look of them. I don't drink, I never open bottles. Long story, but I decided to trade in one of my Damascus steel Kiridashis for this, and this. And that's because I absolutely love the aesthetic of these things so much. And I'm going to figure out how I can get these onto the tops of my 2 forges. And the third one will go on my small metal anvil stand over here for Tiny. And they're going to look extremely cool in my forge. While we were there playing, John Coffey, he broke out some chunks of cable that Jason Sullivan over at Shamrock Forge mailed him. And I talked yams into making a miniature Moabo out of cable Damascus. So at some point in the near future, I have to take a wire brush, scrub this thing completely clean, get it ready for an etch, and well, I'm going to have to harden it and then etch it, because cable Damascus, if you don't know, does not etch worth a crap if you don't harden it. So those are that. And before I left, Bob Bew over at B&B Forge, he's been getting into making hammers, and he made this for me. It's a diagonal peen hammer. It's like 2 1/4 pounds, and I specifically asked for a diagonal peen with a rounding face on it. That way I can get in and do a lot of work with this that I can't do with some of my other hammers. I also did not previously own a diagonal peen. And the face he put on this is nice and soft and mellow, so it's not chopping in, it's just spreading gently. The angle on this is absolutely perfect for my swing. The weight's great, and this thing swings like a dream. I absolutely love it. And I traded him my personal Damascus Kiridashi that I made for myself. I replaced it with one that I made out of my very first billet at Damascus, and I wanted to keep my first one because it was my first one, but I know what kind of time and sweat went into this, so we made a trade. I'm also going to be making him a billet at Damascus at some point in the near future, as long as I make sure my process for what I have lined up works. While I was in Quad State, Ting Ting himself did a workshop on making tongs, and I was able to get these worked out. And this is my fault here, where I set the rivet kind of wrong, and I drifted the holes a little bit off from each other, so you got this. And because I got ahead of him and went ahead and set the rivet without watching how he did it, I just did it the way I did mine the first time. I made a mess that took a while to get cleaned up, but they work. I just have to clean this tip up on the grinder to make them match and figure out what I want to hammer them around to hold. But that was a good time, and hopefully with a few more pairs I can get to where the ones I make are great for what I need, and I don't have to sit there trying to figure out how to stop metal from flying around and drop forging everything I touch. This little guy right here I found, and it was on this handle, which was completely wrecked, and the head was just kind of flopping around free. So I got it for $1, and when I got home I went into my drawer and pulled out an Ace Hardware hammer handle that I got basically to crib the design for to make my own handles, because I'm going to be making my own handles from scratch when I start making my own hammers, which we're getting close to. So I've got this little straight peen, which can also be used as a fuller. It's got a lot of uses, and it's a small hammer, so I can get it into tighter work than I would be doing otherwise. Now, because John Coffey is made of solid gold and unicorn hearts, he picked me up an old chewed up Stilson design wrench. I haven't even checked to see who made it yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all apart, get everything cleaned up. It's still not going to look great once it's done because it's just, you know, pretty beat up. But this is going to be one of my new twisting wrenches, so that I've got something that looks right and I enjoy using. The twisting wrench I currently have works great. If you don't have one, but you have access to a welder, there it is. I got this pipe wrench from Harbor Freight, and I took a broken ratchet that just doesn't work. I cleaned the back up and flattened it out a little bit and just booger welded this on. One thing I learned, my welding gun did not have this tip on it, the nozzle. I was not aware how much that impacted the quality of the weld until yesterday whenever I welded the motorcycle chain to the stick, so that on Saturday I can try to make Damascus out of it. But if you need to make a twisting wrench on the cheap, this is a great option for round stock. It's going to mar up your square stock a little bit, so pull a little bit extra out for a sacrificial end and you'll be okay. And Yamez found this for me, and this is a Co-S style wrench. Very, very old, and this is going to clean up really nicely. I am not going to modify this into a twisting wrench. And this one was a big deal. This end is flat because I've been using it as a drift and a punch, which it worked. But what I needed was this face right here. If you can get a hold of one of these for your blacksmithing work, this is great for doing final planishing, smoothing out all the little rough spots, little bumps, stuff that you know, bigger hammers can't take care of. And you can get in and do a lot of nice softening, smoothing, cleaning up. And I knew it worked good after watching Mark Hopper do it one time, way back in the day, like 5-6 years ago. He came off of the anvil with a knife that looked like it was machined. It was beautiful. And I found this for like, I think I paid $10 for it. I probably overpaid considering what I saw them going for at other tables, but I don't care. This was the one I wanted. So yeah, I picked up a whole bunch of other wrenches, and I'm not going to bore you with sitting through all of them, but I found like some wrenches that came with Ford Model A's and Ford Model T's, stuff like that. I found a miniature Co-S style wrench, and I'm definitely going to clean that up. And I got to figure out how I'm going to replace the wood on the handles. I may end up having to clean up these pins and undo the peening on them or something. I'm not sure yet. I'll talk to my guy that knows a thing or two about these. And something else that's extremely important that I felt I should bring up. Rob Garman over at Granddad's Forge, he brought some stuff to give away. You know, I made a bunch of key tags and gave them to everybody that I could think of that had like forges that I was familiar with, that I talked to a lot. Roy at Christ Centered Ironworks got one. Bob got one for him and his son. Ting Ting got one. Dan Zappa got one, and then he kind of stabbed me in the back on the Forge name and made that key tag useless. He knows what he did. Yeah, I made a hope. Miss Penny got one. A bunch of them. So he brought a bunch of bottle openers, and again, since I'm not a bottle opener, I asked if I could go ahead and pick this one out before he started handing them out, and he gave me this wonderful modified shark tooth twist. And it's extremely cool, and it's a beautiful little structure. I love that thing when he started posting pictures of it. Now, for what it is, it's great, but it's way too heavy to carry on a keychain, so it's going on my anvil stand for some good juju in the shop. And a spin-off from my Damascus keychains is Jason Sullivan over at Shamrock Forge brought me this one that he touch marked because I sent him one of mine a while back. And this thing is extremely cool, and I'm going to put it on my anvil stand for the good juju, and also because my keychain already weighs like 5 pounds and is covered in all kinds of crap. Just to prove my point, like, it's already a mess. I'm having a hard time getting it into and out of my pocket when I also have my wallet in there. And I think it'll serve me better in the shop where it can't get lost, it can't get broken off the keychain, it won't get dropped anywhere. And again, hopefully it'll bring good vibes, and hopefully it'll bring me some happy forging. One of the other big deals is I picked up a striking anvil that I'm not going to pick up and bring over here because it's heavy and I'm exhausted still. That weekend took a lot out of me. But the striking anvil was 60 bucks. It was a really good deal. I got that from Uncle Buck's Forge. And, you know, he had them out there. They were a great price, and he worked with me on it. So we got that deal done. And while I was there, I picked up this beast of a machinist vise. I don't have a leg vise right now, so I'm having to make do with these, which means I can do almost everything I want. But with my smaller vices, you can feel them trying to tear themselves apart while you're twisting on them. And so as long as I can find something solid to bolt that down to, it won't move around on me, I can use that for doing my twisting and stuff like that and not have to worry about it. You know, and like when I say I pulled a haul, I mean, yeah, I probably shouldn't tip that forward too far. But I mean, lots of antique wrenches, lots of antique hammers. Well, not a lot, but a couple of old hammers. This tiny ball peen was $1, and I wasn't about to turn that down. And you can hear the stuff in my pocket just hit the lock button on my keychain for the truck. But you know, that's pretty much what I hauled back from Quad State. And again, that was a wonderful experience. I would definitely love to share time with everybody that was there at John Coffey's again. You know, hopefully next year there are more people there and we can get everything a little bit more organized now we know what to expect, because, you know, that was absolutely fantastic. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures or video because I haven't learned how to do that when doing things like this. You know, way back when I would occasionally be surprised with some impromptu travel or something like that, I never had a camera or anything to take pictures with. And a lot of the pictures I've taken over the years with, you know, old film cameras, things kept happening to them. You know, it's a long story and it's not a good one, but I literally have 0 of those pictures. 0 of the pictures of me from when I was a kid, 0 of the pictures of my brother when we were kids. You know, nothing. I had them, I just don't know where they went. So, you know, I don't think like that anymore. And I figured everybody else is going to be taking a lot of pictures and videos, so yet another video on top of all that was kind of redundant. So it's not that I didn't care about what I was doing there, but like, for example, when Ting Ting was doing the tong demonstration, I guarantee you 100% my focus was on learning everything I could about these while I was there, because you don't get an opportunity like that all that often. You know, it happens sometimes, but when it happens, whenever you have anybody that knows something that you need to learn, is willing to share it with you for free, devote all of your attention to that until it is done. All right, I walked away from this with a set of tongs that works beautifully, needs a little bit of cleanup, and is otherwise quite nice. Picked up a lot of tips that will help me refine my process, such as making a riveting plate. And you know, hopefully this will turn into pretty fast, easy tongs to knock out that I can both make for myself and also make for guys that are just starting out or struggling, or I want to make them something nice. We'll see what happens. That also depends on how often I want to go and buy a 10 or 20 foot bar of steel, because those aren't necessarily super cheap. But, and about the live stream, that's going to go down Saturday. I am going to talk to Yams over at Island Metal Forge and make sure that he's kosher with wrapping up at some point so that I know when I'm going to start. And I'll have all the names picked and I'll be ready to do the drawing. And I'm probably going to wait till after the motorcycle chain Damascus attempt is done and then do the drawing. But when that video starts, that is the cutoff, because the first part of the video is going to be me sitting there writing down names and numbers and making sure everybody knows what the score is there. So, yeah. And one thing I'm happy with is this 18-inch long Tremo pipe wrench that isn't in the best shape in the world, but it was only 10 bucks. And going on eBay and looking at these, it would have cost me about 30 after shipping to get one sent to my house. So I'm really happy with that. You know, all in all, a great trip. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all on Saturday. And please, 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 if you haven't already done so, go subscribe to Sprinkle Donut Forge. He has moved on from the CV axle sword to making a cutlass out of coil spring. And it's looking like it's coming along real nicely. And I mean, we've only gotten a handful of subs out of this. You know? We've gotten a handful of new subs, and everybody else that's watching is all the usual guys that have already subbed. He deserves more subscribers for what he's doing. You know, he's doing a lot of really cool projects. Really good dude. We need more subs. I thought we could do better than just bringing him up to 66 from 44. That's still a nice little boost, but I was really hoping I could do more for him. So like I said, if you haven't subbed to him yet, go ahead and sub. The worst thing it costs you is a video you don't feel like watching at the moment when it pops up on your stream. But that's what I got for today. I've got to make a Damascus keychain for Whiskey Turtle Forge so that we can trade key tags. And I know I'm behind on that. And I'm going to get that knocked out. And then hopefully if I feel halfway awake afterwards, I've got to get started on some math homework and unscrew myself in that class. I did a bad thing. So with that, stay safe. Please don't hurt yourself in your shop. Praise the forge and pass the borax. See you next time. Alright, and we got one little side note. I should be starting the live stream on Saturday at noon. I just talked to Yams. He is not able to do his live stream, so he asked me to please take over that slot. And since I need to do it Saturday anyways, I think we're on board, barring the unforeseen. But it's definitely going down Saturday. Be there or be some shape, I don't really care.